Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in this video, I wanted to give you guys a AT&T network update. Not so much that there's a lot of new info, but for a lot of you that are new to the channel, I wanted to put some more context behind AT&T. They also presented at the Big 5G event, the same one that I covered from Neville in yesterday's video. So a lot of people are telling me they're not excited about AT&T. And I make no excuses for AT&T. They are boring right now. There's not a lot of C-band going on air. And just not a lot happening right now. Of course, there's some work being done. The United States is very large. From what I'm tracking here in my market, there's not a lot of activity for AT&T, if any. But I know in other parts of the country, they are densifying, their C-RAN going up. So that's happening. But the others in Verizon and T-Mobile, they're much further along in their mid-band build. So T-Mobile is 18 months in roughly on their merger with Sprint. So of course, they've been building that 2.5 out at a much larger scale. Verizon, they came out the gates firing. So there's more C-band and radio rip and replaces happening for Verizon across the country. Indiana, St. Louis, I mean, it's happening everywhere within the top 46 PEAs for Verizon. They are heavily focused on C-band deployments, which is fine. That is what we expected to happen to begin with. Verizon built their densification 2016, 2017, and beyond. So in a lot of markets, they are dense enough for that higher frequency mid-band layer that's being put on the macros now. And something that Neville referenced during the analyst day, that his competitors would have to swap out radios and in other words, modernize their sites. Verizon is doing that now too. That's happening. We're seeing it. It's happening. They're replacing and ripping the radios. So now we're going to see DSS at a much larger scale. There's going to be more NR for Verizon at a much larger scale. So a lot of people are still not on board with AT&T. A lot of network enthusiasts are telling me they got to drink 2 to 3 cups of coffee to stay awake when AT&T is brought up at the table in discussion. So I just wanted to put a little bit more context behind that, why that is happening. What I'm being told is the solution and where AT&T is going to take this. So I just wanted to read off a brief paragraph of this article, which I will leave in the description down below, of the presentation that Mo Kadibith gave at the conference. To address the demand, and like I said, you could check this bandwidth chart out. There's an increase in bandwidth happening, which most of you are aware of. To address the demand that you see in the paragraph, AT&T plans to build their fiber connection to 30 million homes by 2025. So just to give you guys a comparison, T-Mobile referencing 90 million by 2025 with its fixed wireless. And then mid-band, the C-band layer, connections to 200 million people by the end of 2023, which would more or less exceed what Verizon is guiding, but we don't know where Verizon will really be by the end of that year. So how this is all taking place right now, AT&T doesn't have sufficient densification in a lot of markets. El Paso, perfect example, a layer of C-band in that higher frequency, it wouldn't do much for this market. Yes, it'll boost capacity, but they have a tower spacing issue. Some of these areas have spacing of 3 to 4 miles apart. So if you put that in a percentile, how much of the market would I be, how many times or a percentage of the time would I be connected to C-band if the tower spacing is that bad? Likely not a lot, especially indoors. I would be dropped off to a lower frequency mid-band or low band altogether much quicker than if there was densification. So that's a problem that AT&T has to invest in. That's happening right now. Next year, that's going to accelerate as well. From what I'm being told is the way it's broken down, there's going to be a first half that is pre-media spinoff. and then there's a second half post-media spinoff. If you guys remember the video that I made, during that conference call or that earnings call, AT&T announces that they are going to raise CapEx post-media spinoff. So that's merging Warner Media into Discovery Plus. The CapEx goes up to $24 billion. That's a significant increase. That allows them huge flexibility. They could invest $20 billion into wireless and leave $4 billion for fiber, which is still a lot. There's only so much on fiber that you can accomplish and you can accelerate within a fiscal year. So $4 to $5 billion should be enough to suffice for fiber. Now that $20 billion or $19 to $20 billion for wireless is going to be huge. They can do so much with that money. I mean, the amount of macros they're going to deploy, from what I'm being told, the amount of C-RAN that are going in the ground. I mean, and the fiber deployments into these neighborhoods are going to complement the C-RAN. So as more houses get fiber, that allows AT&T to deploy more C-RAN in those given neighborhoods. So there'll definitely be a lot of activity to finish out this year. The second half is always more loaded for AT&T. That's been their MO for a couple of years now. So there's, from now until the end of the year, you're going to likely see a lot more macros and C-RAN in your neighborhood. And then next year in the beginning of the first half, there's going to be C-band activity. And then I'm being told in the second half, as that merger closes of the media, it's going to explode. There's going to be lots and lots of C-band going up, lots of purchase orders for equipment. And then AT&T is going to get that ball rolling from, next year until the end of 23 and then into 24. I know for some of you that are outside of the top 46 PEAs, it's kind of a waiting period. Some of you will be impatient and switch to another carrier. Some of you will stay put and remain patient. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. That's kind of the process that AT&T will have to go through. That's kind of a failed previous management from Randall Stevenson. He kind of starved wireless for a couple of years to go after media assets, and they didn't really invest into the densification and the small cells that they had planned back then. There was a huge plan, from what I was being told, at one time for densification to already start building C-RAN and more macros, and it got canceled, from what I was being told. So now the timing is not preferably in their favor, but they have money and they got a little bit of time to catch up, and I think they do so the remainder of this year. They go bigger next year, and then in 23 we should start seeing C-band at a very large scale within the top 46 PEAs until they can branch out at the end of 23 December. So again, let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about it. If you have been on the channel or you're new to the channel, you have not yet liked, shared, subscribed, make sure you do so. Hit that notification bell so you are notified when I do upload content. Make sure to follow my social media outlets for more updates and interactions. Thanks again for watching. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.